very good evening. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge, and this is GBS News 9 coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates on the people and politics, where we will have a political analyst joining us later on. All this and more coming up, but first, here are the highlights.
Ruto arrives in Seoul, South Korea ahead of Korea-Africa Summit to discuss topics of mutual interest, among them trade and industrialization ties.
Kila mtu achunge constituency yake. Stay in your constituency.
Are we witnessing the return of Tanga Tanga? Ruto Gachagua tiff continues as Deputy President retreats to Mount Kenya to marshal his community behind him.
Nikaambia safari hii ndio mtajua hamujui. Hakuna mogoka kuingia katika kaunti ya Mombasa, period.
The controversial ban on mogoka catch momentum, with more coastal counties imposing higher levies on their sale. Harambee Stars touch base in Malawi in preparation of Burundi in a World Cup qualifier fixture.
President William Ruto met the Korean business community in Seoul, South Korea, who have been holding meetings in the past few days with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The president acknowledged that Korea's technological advancements positions the country as an ideal strategic partner for Kenya as it pursues clean energy, agro-processing, and the digital and creative economy agenda. By forging effective collaboration with Korean investors, Kenya is poised to transform these sectors into major drivers of economic growth and job creation in Kenya. Ruto's official trip to the Asian country concludes today.
Ladies and gentlemen, huge opportunity for South Korean industries and investors to leverage the comparative advantages of Kenya and other African countries seated here and those who are not here in clean energy by establishing reliable supply chain networks, decarbonizing production and consumption, and growing African and Korean economies.
I extend my gratitude to the government of Korea for providing this platform for dialogue and cooperation. By embracing this transition to a carbon-free energy sector, African nations will not only mitigate the worst impacts of climate change, but also build a more sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future.
The Kenyan government has officially completed reorganizing Raila Odinga's campaign team for the African Union chairmanship position. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, and the Cabinet Secretary for Diaspora Affairs addressing the press in a joint press address with the former Premier Raila Odinga, say that Kenya's government will support and campaign for Odinga's African Union chairmanship position since Odinga is competent and a visionary leader, as our reporter Davis Karani reports.
The government of Kenya, led by the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, has officially declared to join Odinga's personal campaign team in a bid to lobby for his African Union chairmanship position, in which its elections will be held on February 2025.
The State Department for Foreign Affairs has established a campaign secretariat which includes the candidate's strategy team. The Secretariat will prepare all the briefs for use by the candidate, develop campaign materials, including digital presence, and prepare for the public debate to be broadcast live to African citizens.
Odinga is expected to submit his candidature to the African Union Chairmanship Electoral Body before the 6th of August, which is the deadline for the submission of the data of persons interested in this huge position, which Odinga said that his candidacy was due to the influence from his foreign friends and his dream to transform the continent, answering the question that he was asked about if his candidacy was supported by the Kenyan government to export his domestic politics.
Many of my friends from outside Kenya approached me and told me that this position of AU chairmanship is becoming vacant next year. They have looked around the continent and feel that among the people who may offer themselves, you have the best credentials to take this organization forward.
The former premier said that he never expected the Kenyan government to support his African Union chairmanship position bid and did not know why the government has decided to back him up.
I was myself pleasantly surprised that the Kenya government said they would support me. I was expecting them to say no. I don't know the reason why they said yes. That is their own decision, it's not mine.
But since Mudavadi was his counterpart representing the government in their joint presser, this is what he had to say on the government's decision to lobby support for Odinga's bid.
We said yes because Raila is competent. Yes. And we are looking at Kenya's national interests and Africa's national interests. So this is not about our local issues. And we do not want, and we really want to get the Fourth Estate to help us to project the national interests of Kenya, because it would be a first for Kenya. And it would be an opportunity for Kenya to offer leadership to the African Union. And Raila Amolo Odinga has got the requisite experience.
Kenya's former premier, who has served as special envoy for the infrastructure in the African Union position, is expected to battle with Fauzia Adam from Somalia, who has also declared interest in the position. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Kenya's accession to the IVI strengthens the nation's resolve to achieve self-reliance in vaccine production. President William Ruto said at the ceremony held to mark the country's ratification of the IVI Treaty at the agency's headquarters in Seoul, South Korea on Wednesday. During the ceremony, President Ruto raised the Kenyan flag and the third national anthem was played. He pointed out that increased vaccine availability will enhance the delivery of Kenya's primary health care and adequately support disease prevention. The president said making vaccines universally accessible, regardless of nationality and status, is an urgent imperative that must be addressed. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha said preventing disease through primary health care is a critical pillar of Kenya's universal health coverage. She noted that the accession of Kenya to IVI aligns with the government's healthcare plan. Others who spoke were officials from South Korea's Department of International Affairs and Africa Center for Disease Control.
For finding time to join us on this very important occasion when Kenya is ascending to be a member to the IVI. And Your Excellency, your presence here today is clearly a demonstration of your determination, commitment, and dedication to Kenyans achieving universal health coverage. Your Excellency, you know our plan for universal health coverage is hinged on the foundation of primary health care. And in primary health care, Your Excellency, we seek to promote wellness and healthy Kenyans. But equally under primary health care, Your Excellency, is that we prevent diseases. And it has been shown that the surest way to prevent disease, Your Excellency, is through immunization. We can only achieve that by investing in vaccines. And therefore, our being here today is clearly in line with what we are trying to do back at home to ensure that Kenyans, we prevent them from getting ill, and equally, we promote health care.
President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Nakhumicha Wafula, Cabinet Secretary for Health, the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests. Today's accession ceremony commemorates two critical developments in the relationship between Kenya and IVI. First, Kenya's membership as an IVI state party, and second, the pending arrival of the new office, IVI office in Kenya. 1 year ago on this date, as Andari has mentioned, I had the honor of being received by President Ruto at the State House in Nairobi, where we discussed how Kenya and IVI together could advance our shared vision of a strong and sustainable vaccine ecosystem that advances science, prevents disease, and saves lives. 1 year later, we raised the flag of Kenya at the IVI headquarters. With the exceptional support of the Kenyan government and our research and development collaborators, we're now preparing to establish IVI's country office in Nairobi, which will host an initiative called Advancing Vaccine End-to-End Capabilities in Africa, or AVEC Africa.
As we celebrate this moment, I urge you to keep pushing the boundaries of innovation and enhance our support for research and development in biotechnology, because that will enable us to take charge and define the future of healthcare. Your commitment is vital for our progress. Let us therefore use this milestone as a platform for launching a path into the future through exploration and discovery, and work together in the spirit of solidarity and partnership to build resilient health systems and ensure that the whole world is prepared for any health emergency in the near or distant future.
On World Environment Day, marked by the theme Land Restoration, Desertification and Drought Resilience, various environmental stakeholders converge to raise awareness and promote action for the planet. This year, Kirinyaga County's government, along with NEMA, KFS, Rainforest Alliance, NGAOs, and other partners, gathered at St. Teresa's Girls Secondary School in Kutus to plant over 3,000 tree seedlings, demonstrating their commitment to ecological restoration and sustainability. Susan Nganga with the full report.
In Kirinyaga County, the local government, NEMA, and other partners gathered at St. Teresa Girls Secondary School in Kutus. The mission to plant over 3,000 tree seedlings, demonstrating a strong commitment to ecological restoration and sustainability. Kenneth Muturi, the conservator of forest in Kirinyaga, emphasized that this year's efforts extend beyond tree planting. He highlighted the importance of maintaining a clean environment through proper waste disposal.
And today it marks the culmination of this season of our efforts to restore our landscape. Because the theme of today, the world, when we are celebrating the World Environment Day, is that we restore our landscape and environment. And we've been doing this since the start of the rainforest. Last season, December, we planted 1.6 million. Up to today, we have planted about 300,000 trees, restoring about 1,900 hectares of our land.
World Environment Day, first celebrated on June 5, 1974 in Stockholm, was established to draw attention to critical environmental issues and foster a global community dedicated to sustainable development. This year, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is hosting the global celebrations. The day promotes environmental awareness, encourages action, and drives change, emphasizing the impact of human activities on the environment and advocating for ecological sustainability. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
The government, in collaboration with the Council of Governors, has commenced a strategic initiative to seek expressions of interest for the operationalization of county aggregation and industrial parks. Speaking during a high-level consultative meeting that brought together top officials from both the national and county governments, Trade and Investments Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano underscored the significant progress made in the construction of industrial parks in Phase 1 counties. Here are the details.
The government has initiated consultations with the Council of Governors to navigate the process of seeking expression of interest for the operationalization of the county aggregation and industrial parks. According to the Trade Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, the collaboration is designed to attract proposals from various stakeholders, with a formal call for expressions of interest set for the third week of June.
We do not want to wait till construction is complete or is nearing completion to start thinking what next. And therefore, my ministry has developed proposals on expression of interest that have been shared with you for input and comments.
According to CS Miano, KIPES will propel the manufacturing sector through agro-processing industries, create employment opportunities for the youths, strengthen linkages between manufacturing and agriculture, enhance the volume of value-added products, boost farmers' incomes, increase foreign exchange and reduce post-harvest losses for Kenyans.
When we industrialize at the grassroots and the county levels, this will be one of the greatest achievements since independence.
To date, 42 counties are implementing the KIPES projects. 7 counties have achieved over 30% construction completion level for KIPES facilities. And I have to say, including Busia, where we are at 40%. 28 counties are between 0 and 30% completion. And 12 counties have not yet started the construction.
The county aggregation and industrial parks, also known as KIPES, are envisioned as a model for integrated industrial development, providing essential infrastructure services and a business-friendly environment, aimed at attracting investors and fostering local industry growth. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in a news segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins.
지셨고,
he carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
And remember, the topic of the day is embracing one's role as a single man.
Ile ingine ni kutengwa na watu. Watu wengi ukiona single mother akiongea na bwana wako naingiza zinakuanga tu bwana kuingia.
Kuna any organization inaweza kuwa at least hata ile msupport ama ni wewe tumengangana kivyako akaingia hivyo.
Facial creams wenye wanatumianga. But before unjuane na hao wamama haki na kuanga ngumu. Unapatanga huyo mtoto already amechange hiyo kara, njoo afai kukaa kwa njua.
Kuna hiyo organization inakuanga na plans za kuongelesha watoto.
Kama wazazi
in the future wanaji accept. By the time wana realize they are not different. They are different.
I think akili yangu ilikuja kuona kabisa niko peke yangu. Ni penye saa unapigia handi au mambeste kuna mtu anakuchukulia simu. Na mimi nilikuanga na mambeste wengi. Mimi niliachiwa tu mmoja. Anaitwa Shkosheila. Akiona hii video, thank you so much mama.
Thank you Shiko.
Akusangi enjoy.
Alisimama na mimi.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News at 9. The relationship between President Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua is drifting apart further after President Ruto on Sunday released a controversial statement against his deputy, who warned parliamentarians to remain in their constituencies where they were elected and avoid hopping from one constituency to another. The president, addressing a church in Kimilili, asked the parliamentarians to move around the country to understand and discharge their responsibility as parliamentarians, which his deputy did not take lightly, as our very own Davis Karani now reports.
President William Ruto has continued to draw the battle lines between him and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua after emphasizing his statement and encouraged parliamentarians to move across the entire nation, a step that will help them understand their legislative role in the National Assembly.
You cannot live in your constituency and understand those other roles. You have to get out of your constituency, go to the next place, understand Kenya. I want to encourage you, as members of parliament, to represent your constituencies effectively, but to also move around Kenya so that you understand and discharge your responsibilities better of oversight and of legislation.
As President Ruto takes a twist away from his deputy, it is important for us to backpedal and bring out the flashback on DP's sentiments few weeks ago, which have created the conversation and have made President Ruto focus out of him. And here is the statement.
Kila mtu achunge constituency yake. Stay in your constituency. Sasa wewe umechaguliwa pahali ingine, interest yako kiasi ni gani? Uko na interest? Sasa wewe unakuja kuangaisha mjumbe na wewe uko na kwako. Mimi hiyo maneno staki.
The DP, whom after Madaraka Day dashed back into his homeyard in Laikipia County, where he attended a traditional Kikuyu festival and hinted that all was not well in government. Addressing the locals in his native language, Gachagua said that someone is using their own children to divide the Mount Kenya region. Gachagua's sentiments raised concerns within government, and on this, the Interior CS Kithure Kindiki chipped in and warned Kenyans to avoid politics based on ethnicity and respect the Kenyan constitution.
Hata tukiongea lugha zetu tofauti tofauti za kienyeji, tujue tuko na taifa moja. And we should not take the unity of our country, the security of our country, the stability of our country, we should not take it for granted, because in the past we have suffered when we have hurt each other because of differences among ourselves.
It is a conversation that has created an uproar in the country, as several leaders have condemned the divisive politics that some top Kenyan leaders have indulged themselves in. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Our big conversation begins right now on matters state of the nation, precisely people and politics. Keep your questions and comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Joining me to have this conversation is Mr. David Karani, who is a political analyst and a member of the Elimu Bora Working Group. Good evening, Mr. David, and thank you for joining the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. It's an interesting time to have a conversation on what is happening in our nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just looking at the story that we just saw right now, we have seen the president and the deputy agree to disagree on different issues. Now, are we looking at a replica of what happened in 2018?
I think this one is full-blown, because now we are seeing a whole disagreement, even even in public, where the deputies actually said something, and now the president goes and says totally opposite of what the deputy was actually trying to instruct people that they should stay in their constituency. The president comes out and says people should walk freely. So I think this one is being brought to the Mwananchi. So before it's brought here, something bigger had actually happened. And then we saw Gachagua going for a week, saying he's going to the mountain to pray, and coming and talking in his mother tongue, which was actually somehow trying to rally the people from his backyard, trying to tell them it's now time for us to go and look at how we are reorganizing. So I think that is it's a very huge statement with their actions alone. Their actions can tell you that there is something that is happening that is bigger than what the common Mwananchi can see. So it's something that going back to now how it looks to the common Mwananchi, and what kind of picture it draws to now. Even the people, because these are offices of national. These are offices that are supposed to be showing direction to the country. These are national unity. It's supposed to be, the office of president should be a symbol of national unity. And when we see this kind of back and forth, it clearly shows you that it's going to be a very hard 3 years to come. Because I'm sure now we'll be seeing people running all over the country, like what we saw, the Tanga we saw in the President Uhuru's last term. We're going to see less work and more politics. So it's another 3 years of now people trying to actually talk about which camp they belong and which camp is doing what and what. So the people can actually, the Mwananchi can expect now a whole drama and less work to be done, if this is what we are getting after 2 years of two people who worked together and promised people to work together to deliver some agenda to Mama Mboga and Mtu ya Boda Boda. And now this is what Mama Mboga is seeing. Now they are being talked into they're talking into going back to their backyards and trying to rally support. The same support you rallied and telling people, let's go this way. Now you're trying to tell them the direction I took you is not so good. Or what are you trying to insinuate when you're telling people that I'm taking care of your agendas? Now, people who voted for you and actually had faith in you, what are you trying to tell them? That things are bad. Now, for the next 3 years, what will they expect? So I think it's not a good time. It's not even a good sign coming from the two topmost leaders in the country.
And what you have mentioned is, as much as we are having them have a disagreement on different issues in public, there must be a bigger issue. We've had the deputy president come out in public and say he feels undermined. And we have had talks of where he was denied some of the privileges that are owed to a deputy president. And now, what exactly is this agitating the deputy president?
I think right now all we can do is just try and come up with at least some predictions, but something must have happened for him to react the way he's reacting. There was talk of him being denied the official planes that operates the government from the Air Force. So I don't know. This thing must have come from, it's not a one-time thing for him to be able to actually even ignore seeing off the president or coming now to actually, because I think that is what it's expected, even in protocol, that when the head of state is actually leaving or coming back, the second in command is the one to actually go and see him off, and also usher him in when he's coming. So him not doing that was a clear statement that actually things are not good. Him talking about being people, the same house being used, the same people of the same house being used to undermine him. I think there's a whole issue that is coming out from the young Turks that are making him uncomfortable, and I think that is very, very serious when you are on top and somebody else is being given a bigger platform, and you feel like now the people around you are undermining you. He has all the rights to actually react the way he reacted, because he played a role in ensuring that actually Mount Kenya people voted for this government. So I think, I'm not sure if they did any agreements on who is going to take what, or was there any agreements done. We are yet to know if there was any agreements done. So he can just tell us what happened, because he cannot just come out and tell us there's something that is not being done, because we never saw any agreement. So you cannot come out and say something's not being done when people did not know what was supposed to be done.
And do you think about the division in the mountain that having an impact in the situation that is happening right now? Because we have the side that goes with Nyoro, we have the side from the deputy president, you also have another side of the Azimio. Do you think this division has had an impact on the current happenings?
I think this division has been brought by the current happenings. Because a lot of people in Mount Kenya are feeling the country is not going in the right direction. We've seen the people like Moshomba coming into the conversation and trying to rally people of Mount Kenya, telling them we are getting a road deal. So we can't ignore those people who are coming with a certain voice, trying to speak differently from the Mount Kenya people. And I think the Mount Kenya people have been talking about being targeted in taxing. They are being taxed too much. What happened in the fertilizer, what has been happening also with KRA. They're talking about the avocados, they're talking about the macadamias. So we can't ignore that there has been there's been a lot of voices that have been coming from Mount Kenya. So this division, it was to happen at one point or another. And I think Gachagua is very bright to have actually come out and actually, because I'm sure Gachagua is looking at it and thinking, this ship is sinking. I think this Kenya Kwanza government is already shooting itself in the foot when it comes to Mount Kenya issues. So it's either you sit there and sink with the ship, or you come out and try to tell people that this ship has holes, and the captain is not actually addressing those holes and trying to actually look at them. So I think Gachagua is just playing politics of 2027 in trying to see how he can be able to bring a drift. Because some of the things being done by this government are not so popular with the common mwananchi. So I think it's better off when you are out and then you start now criticizing from the outside. So I think that is a clever move of any politician who wants to survive. Because I'm thinking this ship is going to sink with a lot of people, with all politicians, with the current proposals that they are doing that are mwananchi and friendly. And you're coming out to tell mwananchi that I've not taxed you yet, I'm going to tax you further. So that is just, I don't think there's any mwananchi who would want to be part of a government that is telling you, you've not felt the pain, it's coming. So I think any politician who wants to survive will actually start now looking for an exit of anything. And I think as they say, somebody who wants to live, even if you talk to them, they leave. Even if you don't talk to them, somebody who has made up their mind, they look for something very small to ensure they actually say, this is what is agitating me. So I think Gachagua is a clever man. He has seen all the signs that Mount Kenya wants to leave this marriage. So he rather lives with them than being part of those people who are going to be termed as the problem. So I think we're going to see more politicians coming out and saying this one, the likes of Moses Kuria, I think they are going to be the ones who are going to be the first ones to come out and see what is happening and just talk about what is happening, because Moses Kuria is one of those politicians who is very, very brave and can say something that you don't expect, because he had actually talked about issuing a statement. I don't know what has happened. Yeah.
And looking at the deputy president, he has come out and talked about that there are sons of from his place that are being used to divide the mountain. When he was beginning his tenure as the deputy president, he did come out, and then Kimpin, who was the previous president, he started throwing some bitter words to him. and that somehow that caused a division with the mountain. Do you see him now coming to create a ceasefire, and is that even possible to now bring the mountain back together at this time?
I think Gachagua needs to understand one thing, that in politics, politics is about a game of taking advantage of the situation. If somebody sees a gap, they'll not be told to wait. I think even he himself, he did the same thing. He took advantage when he saw a gap and went for it. So when you see someone else coming out of the crowd and coming now to run for it, you're not supposed to complain, because you did the same thing. William Ruto came out and started doing a solo run, and he joined him. And now when someone else is now trying to make you uncomfortable in your backyard, you should not go and cry. What you should do is come up with strategies that can actually ensure you that you actually survive. So for him, he's supposed to now be trying to look at who is shaking the jar in Mount Kenya. Because the people in the jar were in peace until there's someone who's shaking the jar for them to realize actually we are in here together. So because he needs to understand that it's an issue of taking advantage. Everyone wants something for themselves, so he cannot complain that there are people from Mount Kenya who are being used to undermine me. This is politics. It's not something. It's not a family tree where you expect some pecking order for people to respect the father or whoever. It's everyone for himself in trying to see their political surviving tactics. So he should not try and now bring that game of saying, oh, some people in Mount Kenya are undermining me. There's no rules in terms of now like a family tree where you are told respect your father or mother. This is politics. People will come and even try and do anything for them to be popular in the area. So he has no right to come and say. He needs to look for things he can do to ensure that he survives. Either agitate for the issues of Mount Kenya properly, because there's only somebody can only fill a gap that is there. So if there is no gap, why I don't know why you'd be complaining. It clearly shows that there's a gap that you've left for someone else to fill, for you to be felt undermined. Because if he was doing everything, I don't think you'd feel that gap coming in.
And now, we have seen the president make several trips to Bondo and moving to the western areas. And now, just looking at how the mountain is right now, are we seeing a divide and rule kind of happening?
I think it's really interesting. We've started looking at new alliances coming up. We may probably see change. I don't know if 2027 we'll see a new deputy. We are yet to see, because I think the relationship that is between Gachagua and the president right now, it's not something that you'd expect to survive for 3 years. If they've started 2 years now, the drama started in the second year. I think you cannot bank on it. So and the mood right now in Mount Kenya is not what you'd want. Or what you'd actually expect, that you can actually go back and tell those people that we can do it again. So I think probably we may see a different deputy, or we may see another region coming in and being rallied to support, because I think the president has lost Mount Kenya, sincerely speaking. I think even the MPs in Mount Kenya are worried right now. They are worried a lot, because I don't think right now, with the issues that are happening in the country, it's very easy to convince the Mount Kenya backyard to go back to the agreement they had. So I think we may see a shift. We are yet to see which side is going to benefit. But everything, anytime there's a fight or there's disagreement, there's somebody who's going to benefit from all that disagreement. So we're yet to see if it's going to be which region. Yeah.
And just looking at what is happening in the falling out, you're seeing the deputy president fighting against drugs. In terms of service delivery, how do you think these happenings right now will the implications? What implications are we to expect barely 2 years into office?
I think what you can expect is Kenyans can expect disruption kabisa in services. Kenyans should not expect that these 3 years that are remaining, they are going to see anything happening. Because right now we are going to be seeing now like what Tanga was before. We are going to be seeing every weekend now people moving up and down. We are going to go back to now like now a political season where people are campaigning left, right, and center. We are going to be returned to a campaign mode, which I think is very expensive for a country to be always in a campaign mode. We need to actually be settling down. This is just the second year. They should be settling down now to start now real plans to ensure that actually Kenyans feel the effect of this government. Because right now Kenyans cannot actually pinpoint and say this is a project that was started by this government that is working or is being, it's halfway. So it's time, and then this is very early for them to start now the whole disagreements. It's going to cost a lot of time for them to reconstruct, because they lose a lot of time and lose a lot of Mwananchi's time. That time that would have been used to do a lot of developments, because this kind of divide is very expensive. We are going to see now a lot of things not running the way they're supposed to in terms of work, because now if someone is feeling undermined, I'm sure even the kind of work they're being given, they'll feel like this is not what I would have wanted. If they are being told their duties that they would have actually undertaken, they will not undertake them with the same energy they would have done like before. So we are going to see a lot of time wasting and political statements being issued left, right, and center. So we are going back where I think you guys are going to be busy. Journalists are going to be busy every weekend, following up who said what and where, and who is going to do a rejoinder. So that is not something that we expect in a government. Just 3 years to go, 2 years after being in office, not something that is impressive. When we see such kind of it's going to waste a lot of time that would have been used for development or agendas that actually can benefit the common Mwananchi.
Maybe moving away from that and now going to the Finance Bill 2024, and there was some speculations online that this conversation and this divide that we are seeing, it's supposed to distract us from the Finance Bill. Anyway, maybe you just share your thoughts on that as well. Now tell us, Kenyans have complained on the contents of the bill. We had Kenyans Today rally and led by the comedian Eric Omondi. And now what stands out for you in that bill that Kenyans should be concerned about?
I think everything that is going to be the increments are worrying to Kenyans. We're talking about a tax, an increment on bread. That is worrying, because I think when you talk about 10 shillings in bread, it's something that is going to actually affect a lot of families. And then when you talk about a motor vehicle circulation tax, and then we have politicians who are coming out to tell people this is not going to affect you if you don't have a car. I really wonder. So there's one socialite senator who came out and said he is in your dosi, because you cannot say such a thing when motor vehicles are being used everywhere. This is not the age where people would walk. Everywhere you go, you find yourself using a matatu, and if you don't have a car, you're using a matatu. So this will affect even those people who are using matatus. So if the people who the matatu owner is going to have a 2.5 increment in the insurance, it means they'll pass the cost to you. So what happens is that even if you're using a matatu, the cost of matatu is going to go up. And when this goes up, it will also affect that delivery. So we're not only going to see an increment of 10 shillings in bread. It may go up, because there's also another tax that is supposed to actually look at how plastic, it's called an eco tax, which is going to also to be applied. So that is also going to be added on bread. We're seeing an increment in things like cooking oil and soap. These are things that affect the common Mwananchi directly. We are seeing an increment on banking, on financial services, M-Pesa. You can imagine now the cost of transactions going up. we're just wondering, this is now going to ensure, that those people who even had something small, they're going to spend, it's going now to increase their spend. You'll have 100 shillings. What you'd have done with 100 shillings like before, it will be now less, which will now actually to affect the common mwananchi sana. And we just wonder, when the government is looking at this kind of increments, do they consider that actually the common mwananchi is actually suffering already with the increment in fuel? Now you're going to bring another increment on cars, because now this is going to have an effect even on the normal life of the common mwananchi who depends on a mechanic, a local mechanic. May not look at it that way, but somebody somewhere is going to decide now that I'm going to maybe stop using my car. Or I'm going to get, because now fuel is going up, insurance, tena. Now I think the people who are going to decide, I think a car is just another cost. So you can imagine that what will happen now to that local mechanic who used to depend on those kind of cars. And it's a double taxation, because you find people every day, when you're fueling your car, you're paying taxes. So it's going to have an effect, because even those people who used even the consumption of fuel is going to go down, which is going to be a disadvantage now on collection of tax. So I think this one is also going to finish the common mwananchi. Already a struggling mwananchi now is going to be left with nothing. So I think it's something that Kenyans should resist in the attempts of now adding taxes on financial services. You can imagine now sending money. It's going to be more expensive. So people are going to, it's now going to be even more strenuous to do business with M-Pesa and stuff like that.
Mr. David, and now as time is not on our side, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the finance bill. Looking at the parliamentarians, do you think we have a voice of reason in the House? You have the Uganda Member of Parliament, David Ochengo, opposing the finance bill. Do you see, from where you sit, a voice of reason in the House as we conclude?
I don't think I see any hope from Parliament. Our Parliament is a sellout. We've seen what has happened before, and if previous records is anything to go by, this is going to pass as it is. We saw with the housing levy. Civil society tried even doing demos. We saw even Omtata going to court, and we saw a lot of activities, but we saw Parliament giving. And it's good to note, when you want to collect more taxes, it's also important to tell people, what have you done with the previous taxes? 2023, 2024, what have you done? We are seeing, they've collected housing levy for 1 year. Has any Kenyan seen any project? Have they seen any employment being coming by from that? Can they do a report and say, these are the numbers that you actually engaged in this project that you're doing? So I think it's very important also for us to actually demand, because when you see, when you look at the auditor's report is worrying. The wastage that is happening in government. Some even government ministries not actually giving a report of or actually working, even working together with Auditor General. Some people are questioned, they're asked to deliver some things, and they don't even do that, and nothing happens. So I think when we talk about a cost, the cost of traveling going up by 4 billion.
A minute.
Yeah. It is very worrying. So if you're going to collect and waste, I don't see the reason why we're even collecting.
Your parting shot, a minute.
My parting shot is Kenyans, let us be more involved in questioning our leaders, and let's communicate with our MPs. Clearly, Kenyans are not happy. They're not happy with this finance bill, because it's going to bring more burden to already burdening society. People are already doing not so well. People are surviving, are barely surviving. And when you start now adding bread and basic commodities, because when you talk about adding a motor vehicle circulation tax, it means that transport is going to go up. Even the cost of delivery is going to go up. And when you talk about adding some taxes on things like cooking oil and soap, that means now people are going to even struggle further. So what I can tell Kenyans is, I think it's time now for us to actually look at the kind of leadership we have. And also I think we also need to do proposals so that actually the finance bill should also be passing through Senate. Because I think the Senate is the only house that can save Kenyans. All money bills are supposed to pass now. We need to amend those ones so that also Senate can be having a say in those money bills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis Karani, and of course looking forward to more conversations with you.
Thank you.
And now do keep your comments coming in on the same through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And that conversation brings us to our international news, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun Story Class. Friend, today I'm going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Friend, this is a very interesting story, so listen carefully. The ant and grasshopper were good friends. The grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather, playing all day. He asked the ant for food, and ant gave him some. But my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and now to matters international news. In a ceremony held at the Prime Minister's office in Port-au-Prince on Monday, June 3rd, Gary Conille was officially sworn in as Haiti's new Prime Minister, succeeding interim Prime Minister Patrick Biosfert. The 58-year-old Conille, who shares executive power with the Presidential Council, urged political functions to set aside their differences for the nation's best interest. Here is more on the same.
In his first address as Prime Minister, Conille called on political functions to set aside their differences for the best interest of the nation. What will be of interest for the people of Haiti is that through this mandate, they will see the interests of different groups of individuals put aside for the best interest of the nation. The Transitional Council, responsible for appointing the Prime Minister, is also tasked with organizing presidential elections by early 2026. The country is still awaiting the arrival of the Kenya-led International Police Force. Before his recent appointment, Conille served as UNICEF's Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean since January 2023. With a background in medicine and public health, he has played a pivotal role in developing healthcare in Haiti's impoverished communities and coordinating reconstruction efforts after the 2010 earthquake. Thomas Musyoki, GBS News.
The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, on Tuesday announced the discovery of 4 hostages killed by Hamas in Gaza. Daniel Hungary delivered a grim news to the families in Tel Aviv, revealing that the victims were found together in the Khan Yunis during an IDF operation. Hungary also confirmed the death of Dolev Yahud, a paramedic missing since the October 7th attack, with his remaining found, highlighting his heroic actions, stating he left behind his pregnant wife and 3 children in the shelter to save lives, and he was murdered by Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that the IDF will not withdraw from Gaza until all objectives are met. This statement follows U.S. President Joe Biden's calls for Hamas to accept a 3-part Israeli proposal, including a 6-week ceasefire and IDF withdrawal from populated areas.
Perry from Kibbutz Nir Oz, 8-year-old Yoram Metzger from Kibbutz Nir Oz, and 51-year-old Israeli and British citizen Dolev Yahud from Kibbutz Nadav Popelwell from Kibbutz Nirim. That their loved ones were killed a few months ago during Hamas captivity in Gaza, and their bodies are still being held by Hamas. We assess that the 4 of them were killed while together in the area of Khan Yunis during our operation there against Hamas. The information we confirmed by the relevant bodies after assessing new intelligence that we gathered over the last few weeks. We also informed the family of Dolev Yehud, a paramedic who left his home on October 7th to save lives. He left his home to save lives. He left behind him his woman, his wife, pregnant, and his 3 children in the shelter. He left them to save lives, and he was murdered by Hamas, and we revealed the remains of the body. Our hearts go out to their families. We are sorry we couldn't save them in time. Each of these hostages has a story. Take Chaim Peri, of blessed memory. Chaim was a peace activist. He believed, he fought for coexistence between Israelis and Palestinians.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And that news brings us to our sports news. Let's get sporty. Jose Mourinho signed a 2-year contract with Fenerbahce 6 months after being dismissed by Roma, made no promises to Fenerbahce fans regarding titles, but has pledged to wear the shirt as though it was, and I quote, my skin. Fenerbahce haven't won the title since 2013-14 campaign, and their last trophy was the Turkish Super Cup in 2014. It's the first time Mourinho will work outside the top 5 European leagues since 2004, when he left SC Porto to join Chelsea after winning the Champions League. Here are the details.
Thousands attended the Fenerbahce Stadium in Istanbul on Sunday to watch the signing ceremony. The 61-year-old replaces Ismail Kartal, who left Fenerbahce after they finished second on the league to city rivals Galatasaray. Despite losing just 1 game and recording 99 points last term, meaning the Istanbul club will need to go through qualifying to book a spot in the Champions League. Mourinho has been out of work since being sacked by Roma in January after 2.5 seasons in charge. The former Chelsea, Real Madrid and Manchester United boss is the only manager to have won the Champions League, Europa League and the Europa Conference League. He has won 21 major honours across a 24-year managerial career that began at Benfica and included spells at Porto, Inter Milan and Tottenham, where he was relieved of his duty prior to the 2021 Carabao Cup final. Mourinho's last piece of silverware came with Roma in 2022 when he led them to the Europa Conference League, the club's first European trophy, and helped them reach the Europa League final the following season, where they lost to Sevilla on penalties. Jose Mourinho said at his first Fenerbahce news conference that his signing and reputation will bring more attention to the Turkish league, adding that his aim was to win the Super League and make it to the Champions League group stage next season. Mourinho has won 26 major trophies in his coaching career, including 2 Champions League and 3 Premier League, while being voted FIFA's Coach of the Year 4 times, with the different clubs on each occasion. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
Napoli have hired Antonio Conte as their new manager on a 3-year contract following their disastrous title defense in the 2023-2024 Serie A season. The Italian coach, 54, has enjoyed an illustrious career as a manager. He won 3 consecutive Serie A titles with Juventus at the start of his 2010s, A Premier League title, and FA Cup with Chelsea, and another Scudetto with the Inter Milan in 2021. Antonio Conte has won Serie A 4 times as manager of Juventus and Inter Milan. Here is more on the scene.
Antonio Conte, 54 years old, has not managed since he left Tottenham Hotspurs in mutual consent in March 2023 after 16 months in charge. Despite a disappointing time in North London, Conte has had a decorated coaching career after winning the Premier League in his first season at Chelsea 2016-2017 and the FA Cup in his second before being sacked in 2018. The Italian also guided a dominant Juventus to 3 Serie A titles in a row between 2011 and 2014. Conte said Napoli is a place of global importance. He is happy and excited at the idea of sitting on the blue bench. Antonio Conte guided Inter Milan to their first Serie A title in 11 years back in 2021. Napoli, who won Serie A for the first time in 33 years last year, have struggled to replicate that achievement and finished 10th in the league. Their poor form resulted in Slovakia boss Francesco Calzona joining the club in February on a short-term deal to the end of the season, after sacking manager Walter Mazzarri after just 3 months in charge. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.